Good afternoon, Nida. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for accepting the invitation. It's very nice of you to accept it. And I would like you to introduce yourself the way you would like people to get to know you. So, how would you like people to get to know you?
So, I'm Nida Sharif. I currently live in Bangalore, where I run a nonprofit. We make trauma support storybooks for children. But from Bangalore originally, I was born here, but I grew up in Dubai. I went to school in Dubai my entire life. And then I went to university in London. And then after that, in my 20s, I moved back to Bangalore, and it was like a reverse culture shock.
Ah, this is an interesting one. So, so you've been traveling around. So, how was your life in Dubai? Like, did you like it? Or, I mean, anything special about Dubai that you remember that, you know, is a good memory, for
Um,
example?
I think that's really interesting topic because people think of Dubai as it is now, but
That's true.
I grew up in Dubai in the 90s and like the early 2000s, and it was a completely different place. In fact, when I go back now, we still go back and forth to Dubai.
Mhm.
When I went back the last time a few years ago, I didn't
Mm.
recognize a lot of the places. It is almost like it's almost like it metamorphosized into a new city almost, which
So
is
did you
very,
prefer the Dubai of when you were a child?
I think that's what I can relate to. I
Okay.
think also, for example, when you go home to your hometown, you want those familiar things, those familiar
Mhm.
places, things you used to do as a kid. But I feel like that's kind of taken away from me in a way.
Oh,
When I go
okay.
back to Dubai, that's not there.
Okay.
I don't feel that nostalgia is kind of just swept away. It's like a new place.
So what did you like when you were a kid and in Dubai? Like what were the cultural things or the thing that you used to have when you were in Dubai that you really appreciated?
Dubai was a very small place when I was like in the 90s.
Okay.
Super small place. It was not a glamorous place like how it
Okay.
is now. Super simple, hardworking people, a lot of expatriate families. Our entertainment was going to the beach. We would go to the beach like in families
Mhm.
and do a barbecue on the beach. And that
But
was
it's not
as
happening anymore.
it does happen. You can, of course, have a barbecue, but I think the beach itself looks a lot different. Like the topography of the same beach, I think is completely different. I think now there's probably a Louis Vuitton cafe on the beach, which didn't exist
I
back
think
then.
now a lot of the places where you can swim and lie down or whatever, they are mostly belonging to hotels. And probably when you were a child, it was public
True.
places, but now it has become private. So I suppose you were in a school where there were people from everywhere.
Yes, that's something I am very grateful for as an adult.
So what did you think it taught you to be in a school and Monday to Friday you were with people from different cultures? So what did you think this brought you as a person?
I feel so lucky to and a little naive to talk about it now, but we didn't even think about it. We didn't we also had friends from other parts of India in our school and other countries. And we just didn't think about it. We were like, oh, where do you live? Oh, I live in Bar Dubai. Oh, I live in Sharjah, which are places in Dubai. We didn't even talk about our home countries at all. We all spoke in English. So it was kind of this
Okay, well, that's
very
interesting. Okay.
equalizing. Yeah. It wasn't until much
Okay.
later in life
Okay.
that I understood identity politics in that sense.
Mhm.
We
Okay.
just
I
didn't
understand
care. We
what you
were
mean.
Dubai kids. Yeah.
Okay, so
We
you
weren't
felt you
like,
were
oh,
from the so you felt you were from
yeah,
the same country, which was Dubai, even though you had a different background. Is this what you mean? Okay. Well, this is an
exactly.
interesting one. All right. So now let's start with the fun questions so that people can get to know you better.
Yeah.
What could be a fun fact about you that most people don't know?
I thought really hard about this because people know everything about me.
I don't think I do though. I
I
think
think
there's a lot of
that's
things
the
I
thing. I
don't know
think
about.
people are surprised. Yeah, people are
Okay.
surprised when I tell them things about me because I think I have a very, I don't know, I think people make assumptions about other people all the time.
That's
I
true.
think one is that I just started kickboxing. I think I told you this. I started kickboxing
Yeah, I would not
a
expect you
year
to do that.
ago.
This is interesting.
Yeah,
Yes, I remember you told
that
me
is
this one.
something people are very surprised to hear about me. And I
That's
used
true.
to do Aikido a little bit in college, and I've always been interested in things like that. I am quite athletic, which doesn't come across in my personality
Okay.
at all. Yeah,
Okay, well, that's interesting. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, this is a very good example. And I know you are a foodie, and I am a foodie too. And that's one of the reasons why we are connecting because we like to eat in places, we like to discover new things, we like Japanese food.
we
And
do.
when you traveled somewhere, what would be the weirdest food combination you had? And at first you were like, oh, I don't want to have this. But then in the end, you did and you really enjoyed it.
Again, I had to think really, really hard for this one. I think the weirdest food combinations are the ones that I invent myself.
Why not? So you're a cook
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Very
But it's
good. So one
also
day I
like,
would like to taste your food then.
oh, I'm a really good
With
cook,
good wine.
Dodgy. I'm going to cook for you. I'm definitely going
Yeah,
to cook for you.
I'm so happy about this because I'm a foodie, I'm a wino. Wino means wine aficionado. I know that wino can mean something else in another culture. So I like
Yeah,
to drink good wine and I like to eat good food.
I
So that's
know.
good.
That's why we get
This
along.
is very good. Okay, so your own food combination is the best and it can
Yeah,
surprise
just
people.
I think things that growing up, so like I'm Indian, obviously, but Indians won't do things like they won't like eat fruit and cheese together. So, which I think for you is normal. Like you would eat fruit and
Okay.
cheese. So, I think when I discovered that I could do that, that
Mm-hmm.
opened up a whole new world for me.
Okay, so it opened your creativity.
Yeah, like putting something salty and something sweet together. Because you don't see that in
Okay.
India or Asia really that much.
I think it depends where you are going, but some culture like sweet and sour, some cultures
Hmm.
mix. Like for example, my weirdest food combination was when I was in Japan and I saw a salad, like a fruit salad with mayonnaise. And as a French
Right.
person, we eat mayonnaise with something which is salty. We don't eat
Yeah.
it with something which is sweet. So for me, it was the weirdest food combination. But someone told me, "Oh, well, that's very common in Japan." So
Right.
like this kind of thing. But I am not like you. I like to eat, but I'm not really a cook. But I love to eat other people's food because I think it's very cultural. So probably your food is very cultural. So you were saying that you lived in London as well. So London is completely different from Dubai and from Bangalore. So you were there for studies, like you were in universities.
Yeah, so I went to the University of London
Okay.
and I did my bachelor's degree there. So I was there for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
It is very different culturally from Dubai, of course, but
Okay.
I didn't find it difficult to get along with people or assimilate or anything because in Dubai also there's a lot of British influence. I think a lot of British
That's true.
expats
Mhm.
live there. I went to a British school, so I went through the British school
Okay.
system.
So you wouldn't say you went through a culture shock. It was kind of
No,
like in Dubai, but in another country.
exactly. Not like
Okay.
Dubai. I think it was a lot. Dubai is a very convenient place. There's a lot of convenience. Supermarkets and shopping malls are open till really late. But in the UK and
Okay.
Europe, shops close at 5 o'clock or they close quite early.
Okay. So that was kind of
Things like that.
your shopping culture shock. You could not go
Yeah,
shopping or you could not go out to buy something whenever you wanted.
exactly.
It's still
So
the same, even
it's
in
still the same.
France.
Yeah,
When I go back to my country in France, I have to remember that it's 7 or 7:30. People are going to close. They even close in between during lunchtime. So sometimes,
yeah,
when you're on holiday, you don't really watch your what time is it. And sometimes I would show up at 2 o'clock and they say, "Oh no,
we're
it
closed.
was we open at 2:30." And I
Yeah,
totally forgot about this. So this is a big cultural difference. So
yeah.
what you're saying is interesting. So would you say that you got a higher culture shock when you went back to India then?
My greatest culture shock for sure is when I came to
So
India.
what were the biggest culture shocks you got when you came back to India?
Oh my gosh, just the way things happen here. And
Okay.
I think as an expat, I think you would have very similar experiences.
Do you have any striking examples that, you found very shocking?
The way things are. So, for example, in Dubai and in the UK, there's a very strong retail culture. So, when you
Okay.
walk into a store, customer service is super important, right? They're like
Mhm.
highly trained and all of that. I found
Mhm.
it challenging, to say the least, in Bangalore because
Okay.
a lot of staff who work in stores and things are not fully trained, properly trained.
Mhm.
Communication could be an issue, things like that.
Okay.
And then bureaucracy kinds of things are very different
Mhm.
here. You need to go get
Mhm.
your driver's license. In Dubai, you everything is digital. You push a button and you book a time slot, and everything is orderly. Over here, it's a little, you have to assert yourself a little bit more. You have to push your way to the front of the queue a lot more often, even
Mhm.
at the bank, things like that. Growing up in a quite sheltered environment was a little difficult for me.
Well, yes, I experienced all of these, but before I came to India, I was in China. And there's lots of similarities between China and India. And, people don't like to queue, or they, let's say they have their own conception of queuing, which we don't relate. Queuing is very cultural when you think about it. Like if you go to England, people are going to queue in a very nice queue when they wait for the bus or when they wait for the tube. But here, like this is not happening. But I have to say, in France, queuing is very challenging too. So, for a long time, I didn't like to queue. And depending on the country I'm going to, I have to observe how people do things so that I try to be as respectful as possible. But I think queuing is very cultural. And you see it at the airport, in the hospital. You have to push your way through. This is the perks of living in India, right? This is, sometimes you can struggle with the internet connection, and this is part of the perks of living in a country like this.
Yeah, and people will understand, thankfully.
So basically, I was saying when you give your feedback, maybe unconsciously you actually realize, oh, I can't give feedback in India the way I would do it in Dubai or in England.
Yeah.
Yes.
The thing is, I'm not sure if that's my leadership style
Okay.
because I grew up in the Middle East and people are still very like super polite and stuff.
Okay. So in the Middle East, people don't tell you directly what they think, and they say it in a way, which is a nice way to make you
Yes.
understand that they disagree or they don't like something. This is what
Yes.
you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to be
Because if
very,
you
very
would go,
polite.
for example, in the Netherlands, Holland,
Yeah.
people would be super direct with you. So you have
Yeah.
to be ready. If one day you work with people from the Netherlands, you have to know that.
Yeah.
So,
I've worked with in Dubai in the same company, in the same office. We had a few Russian staff members, and Russians are very direct people.
yes, they are. That's true.
Yeah. They
Yes.
don't, dance around with things.
If we talk about the notion of time, in England, for example, being on time is super important because this is a show of respect. But in India, I find that people are very flexible. And I found that if someone says, oh, you can come to my place from 7 o'clock onwards,
Yeah.
so it means someone is going to arrive at 7, another person at 8, 9, 10, 11, and this is very
Yeah.
flexible. But in England or in my country, usually people are maximum half an hour late, and this is it. But
Yeah.
if you give a time, it's the time. But in India, it's so stretchy. I find that time is very stretchy. So when you lived in Dubai and in England, did you find this difference when you came
If
to India?
when it comes to work, you do have
Yeah.
to be on time, like work stuff. The thing is, in India, after coming here, this is something that really annoys me because when it comes to work commitments, people do that. And that is unacceptable to me.
So you mean people do what? They arrive
They show
late?
up late. They show up late. Yeah.
So In India, if someone arrives late to a work meeting, you would feel offended and you would not appreciate it. This is what you
Oh,
mean?
yeah. That makes me really angry, actually.
Okay.
But it
All right.
seems to be acceptable here.
I think it depends on the environment.
Right.
But what I appreciate when someone is going to be late, at least tell me, send me a message so that I have an idea about how long I have to wait. And if it's too long, then I'm going to tell you, no, sorry. If the person is 1 hour late, I'm not going to wait. If it's 15 minutes, that's okay. But if I
Yeah.
have an appointment, I'm not going to wait for an hour. But, in some cultures, people do it. So, the notion of time is very cultural. And I'm pretty sure when you were in England, the 5 o'clock is 5 o'clock, and that's it.
Yeah.
But in France, people allow 30 minutes.
10
So if
minutes,
you
I
talk
think, is
with French
acceptable.
people, don't be surprised. They wouldn't be an hour late, but they can be some minutes late.
Yeah.
So time is also very cultural, and also the way people lead, the leadership. In some cultures, people think the boss and the employees can be at the same level, but in some
Yeah.
cultures, they have to show they are the boss. And I feel
Yeah.
in India, even within a small company, people like to show who is the boss. But maybe in your maybe in your NGO, this is not the same.
I think when it comes to India specifically, we also have to take into consideration that our entire society has hierarchy or a class system.
Mm,
We're all, even though a lot of people would say the class system, the caste system doesn't exist anymore,
mm.
our Indian culture is very, very rooted in a classist structure.
Okay. And I know that some Indian people don't feel comfortable to talk about it. Do you feel comfortable talking about it, or?
Oh, I talk about it all the time. Yeah.
All
I
right.
think
So
we
you
can't
think,
talk about Indian society without talking about it.
okay, so you think it goes together.
Absolutely. I think we can't, the people who don't want to talk about it, they may be in denial a little bit.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I think it's
Okay.
a conversation for another day, maybe. We can really get
Yes,
into
this
it.
is true. You are from everywhere, and that means you speak more than one language.
Yeah.
What languages do you speak? So you speak English. What else?
I speak English. My mother tongue, I guess, is Urdu, but my
Okay.
first language is English. English is the language I'm most comfortable in. Both my parents just spoke English to us growing up.
Okay. And when you speak another language, when you speak Urdu or English, do you feel your behavior is different, or do you feel you think differently?
Definitely. I think I'm just a lot more comfortable in English. I can articulate myself a lot better. I think in English, even though I might have some. Have you heard of like Indian English or like um
Yes, I have heard of
Dubai
it.
Dubai English? Yeah, where we use like a few,
A few
slang.
words, or
Yeah,
I have heard that.
yeah. Um, but I definitely, when I'm speaking the other languages, and I speak a little Kannada because I had to pick up Kannada living here.
Because you live in Bangalore, and the
Yeah,
and the language is Kannada language.
yeah. And we had to learn Arabic and French in school. So I can like read and write Arabic and French.
Ok.
I am
But do you
not bilingual enough.
do you feel you are a different person when you speak an Indian language? Because a language is culture.
Yeah. I don't feel like a different person, but I feel I should be better at this in a way. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's a disconnect that I feel
Okay.
sometimes. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Nida.